Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with another knitting podcast episode. I don't know the number, as usual, but it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't think anybody cares what number of episode it is. Today I have 2 finished objects to show you. Technically I finished 3, but the third one is a gift, so I don't really want to show you. And then I also have 4 works in progress. I think that's all that I have to say for the video, so we can get started. What I'm wearing is the Juicia sweater from Vert and Rose. It's from a few podcasts back, and I knit this in hand-dyed yarn that I dyed myself, like a Savory, together with another alpaca type yarn. And then I'm also wearing this little Sophie scarf that I knit in Lana Grossa Seta Suri Big. And I actually have a matching hat in this yarn. So my first finished object, I first finished this one. This is the Grandmacore hood by Kutovakika. I really wanted to knit this. I think I showed this in my knitting plans video. So it's really nice that something has like actually come off that list. Because usually I make those plans videos, or I just make plans in general a lot of the time. And then usually I don't end up going through with them. Like, I just change my mind like that. Like, I cannot snap with my fingers, funny enough, but I changed my mind like that. So this is the Grandmacore hood. I knit this in the panduro merino wool. So it's just like a fingering weight, or no, it was a DK weight merino wool on 4mm needles, and then held together with the tynn silk mohair from sandnes garn in a purple color. I think I knit this with one less pattern repeat, so it's a little bit smaller, but I do have a small head. Then it has like an I-cord tunnel, and instead of knitting an I-cord, which I felt would just be kind of a slog to knit a long I-cord, I didn't feel like doing it. So instead I chose to just crochet a cord and then single crochet over all of those stitches again. And I thought that would be quicker, but then I still spent like 2 hours on that. So I'm not a fast crocheter by any means, and I will show you how it looks, but to me it does look a little bit like an I-cord, but sometimes there are like a little bit like bumps or something. So there's that. And then I made these little tassels on the end, and I just wrapped the yarn around itself here just to add a little bit of something. I love tassels, and I just add them wherever I can. I really like this. It is blocked and the yarn has really softened up. The tynn silk mohair from sandnes garn is definitely not my favorite. It's quite expensive. I believe it's like 11 euros or something, which I find expensive. And it's not very soft. To me it's still a little bit itchy. Like, this does not itch, but I just don't think it's worth the money, is what I'm trying to say. So that's my first finished object. I do want to knit more colors of this, but I'm not in any rush to do so. Just because I would rather than knit something else and then knit another one of these at a later time. Something I'm really craving right now is a knitted head with like a cable texture. And I'm also strangely feeling red at the moment. Like, I've never been a red type of person. I'm all about the pinks and the browns lately. Like, red is calling my name, and then also fuchsia pink. So maybe you've already noticed because I'm wearing like a red lip, which I never do. So I got red lipstick because I was feeling red so much. So my next finished object is the pressed flower shawl by Savory knitting. I have been working on this one for I think around 2 months. So I'm really happy that it's finally off the needles. If you know this pattern well, you can see that I skipped the border design that is usually here. Because, to be honest, it is a pleasure to knit. And it's really fun to knit. But I just grew a little bit tired of it and I wanted to get it off the needles. I think, yeah, like I said, it's a pleasure to knit. But the only thing that it was not a pleasure to knit are the increases. So just the regular increases that you do for a shawl to create the tip, and then also at the sides here. It was very tight, so maybe I should have knit the last stitches like looser or something. But it was always very tight, and then also the needles that I was using also attributed to that because they are not very slippery, because I used like bamboo type of needles. So I think it's also a little bit of my own fault. But I'm happy that it's finished now. It's kind of the same as this one, like the colors. I knit this in some hand-dyed yarn. The pink yarn that you see here in the flowers, it's long yarns, alpaca superlight in the coral color, held together with Neighbourhood Fibre Co in the color Butcher's Hill. And then the yellow one is a hand-dyed yarn from Walmart. Verve, it's a basic sock 4-ply. She doesn't work with any kind of color names, just like weird numbers. So that's why I never mention the numbers, because I don't know. And then I held it with Mayflower Elba in the color 2, I think. And I do have quite a bit left over of that. And this is how the back looks. So you do sometimes have to carry your floats, or whatever it's called. But I think it's really pretty, and I'm just really happy, honestly, to have like a shawl or a scarf in my life. I think I really needed this. And it will probably be really nice also to wear at home, because I've said before that my house is very chilly and I work right beside the window. So especially when it's like stormy outside or very windy, then I just get very cold. So I can just wrap this around myself. And because I skipped the border, it's definitely not very big. And also I think because my yarns that I use are fingering weight held together with lace weight. So it's a lighter fabric than it would be if you were to use a DK weight, which is what the pattern suggests. So a smaller scarf or shawl or something like that. But I'm happy with it. And I blocked it also. And also when I say I blocked it, I mean steam block it. Because there's no way that I'm going to wet block something in my tiny studio. Yeah, I'm just not going to. I just steam block it, alright? So that is my second and last finished object. So now we're ready to get into my works in progress. The first work in progress that I'm going to show you is one that was kind of like my main work in progress for quite a while. But then I was intimidated by it because I knew I wanted to have a double knit button band. But I've never double knitted anything. So I was procrastinating, to say the least. So I was just working on other things, you know, feeling the cast on jitters or something like that. But then 2 days ago in the weekend I finally decided to climb the mountain that is the double knit button band. And so I watched a few tutorials and now I have a double knit button band finished on one side. And then I'm working on the other one as we speak for my vintage inspired cardigan. I think the name of this cardigan pattern, it's my own design, is going to be the Vivienne Vintage Cardigan. Because to me it's very vintage like, and I also really took inspiration from a lot of vintage sweaters that I've seen in store or on Etsy, things like that. So when I went vintage shopping a while ago, I actually saw a cardigan with a stitch pattern like this. And this is like a very popular stitch pattern, I would say. And I really loved that cardigan, but then I thought, I can knit that. And there it began. I really wanted to design a cardigan that had a puff at the shoulder, which is what I was able to do. The construction is a little bit crazy and honestly most of the time I didn't know what I was doing. But I think that's also the fun of designing something and then just seeing if it will turn out. You do end up frogging sometimes, or quite a lot of times, but I don't really mind. So the sleeves have a little bit of a different kind of texture, and then they are like a balloon sleeve, like very much. I really enjoy a tiny cuff, so this is a tiny cuff with just 1x1 rib. And I will show you here, this is my double knit button band. It's very nice and it has still some stretch. And then I've placed the markers for where my buttons are going to be. And then I'm currently working on the side that has the buttonholes. So here's how they look. And I'm doing quite like chunky buttons. Like these are going to be my buttons. Really beautiful vintage tortoiseshell buttons. And they fit perfectly through the hole. Maybe even a little bit, like maybe the hole's even a bit too big. But I think it's gonna be fine. And if it's really too big, then I'm just gonna hand sew so it closed a little bit. So now that I've learned to double knit, I am much more drawn to finish this design. So I really want to get it finished like soon. Yeah. Especially because then when the bottom bands are finished, I can do the collar, and I think that will really like make it look like how it's going to look, like the final piece. And then I just have one sleeve to knit. And then it's finished, and I absolutely love it. I was a little bit worried about the fit of this one, because this pattern basically works up like a rib pattern. So right now you can see there's a little bit of space here, so you can actually see the purl stitches that I did between. But when I was first knitting this, you could not, and everything was just smooshed together, and I thought it was going to be super small. But then I steam blocked it a little bit and just like very aggressively stretched it out whilst I was doing that, and it seemed to work. I think this is honestly something that I may have to wet block, even though I just said that I never do. But I think this one maybe needs it, just to give me a little bit of extra ease. Ooh, sorry, that was my needle. That is my first work in progress. It's knit on 5mm needles, and then the yarn that I'm using is the Drops Nepal in a clay color. And I really love this yarn actually, and it has like some fluffiness, so I don't think this is gonna peel very much. A lot of people are probably gonna say otherwise, you know, that have like knit with this yarn multiple times. But to me it feels like it's not going to peel. But it probably will, because it's very soft. Then the next work in progress is the one that I started, first. And I'm just crocheting granny squares. I don't really have, well, I kind of have something in mind now, but when I started these granny squares I definitely did not. So at first I thought I wanted to do like a sweater that had like a granny square yoke and then knit the rest of it. Then I thought, why not go all out and make an entire granny square cardigan, but that feels like a little bit of too much work, just because I'm not the biggest crocheter. And also then I would have to get more yarn, and I have enough yarn, so no more yarn. So then I thought, well, the thing that doesn't require a lot of yarn is a vest, and I also don't have a lot of vests. I have one crochet like store-bought vest. So that's what I'm going to make with all of these granny squares. And here you can see the pink, like I was talking about that I'm really into bright pink. This one is actually not bright enough yet. This is like a nice hot pink, but I'm talking neon pink, like I'm feeling neon pink. I'm crocheting most of these with Drops Air, this, and then some leftovers from my hat and another brown color. So the brown and pink I got specifically to do some crochet. For some reason I just felt like crocheting Drops Air, because it's so nice and airy, like the name suggests. So I will show you some of the granny squares that I've done. I've used also some hand dyed yarn in it, so this is actually the same color that is in my pressed flower shawl. So I have a couple of those, this one the same. Then I have this one, it's also some hand dyed yarn there. Then here I just have some brown sock yarn that was left over from some socks that I knitted. And now I'm working on 2 more colors because I found that I didn't have enough, and so I'm bringing in these 2, but I have to make some more of them. I believe right now I'm halfway for the granny squares that I need. So I did like make a little bit of a layout for like the fit wise, because I wanted to have nice big armholes, because I usually wear blouses with big puffy sleeves or dresses and such. So it's going to be really nice to have a vest with big armholes. The edges and everything I just want to knit. I think I would want to knit it in the Drops Air brown color, and I think I would have to get 1 more of them, but I'm willing to do that, because to finish a project or just be able to start a project and just get a tiny bit more yarn I'm okay with, but right now I don't need to get yarn for an entire new project because I have also a lot of acquisitions in this video. The next work in progress is a super exciting one, and I think it's super exciting because I've been wanting to knit this design for a few months now. I got this yarn, like a few months ago with this design in mind. And it's a Colorwork type of Spencer, but I just could not get my mind around the type or like how I wanted to do the Colorwork. The inspiration finally struck me, and now I'm on a roll. I would say. So I would just show you what I have. I'm knitting this bottom up, and I think later, like once this is finished, I will knit another sample top down, because I know most people prefer that. This was just the easiest thing to do, and also to kind of test my colorwork, like just to get straight into it. I'm knitting the whole thing on 5mm needles, and then the ribbing I did on 4.5. I had to redo the ribbing like 3 times to get the right size, but I tried it on and it fits, because it's looking a little bit small. Also because of the colorwork, it doesn't stretch very much. It's kind of my first time knitting actual stranded colorwork. So it's a little bit brave of me to just knit my own design like out of the blue. But that's what I'm doing. So I will show you a little close up. This is kind of the quilted design that I'm talking about. I've been really into quilting stars, and I wanted to knit something that was inspired by that. And then here I've just done, there's probably a name for it, but I don't know what this is called, just like where there's only one. And then here's gonna have another little quilted thing, and then on the sides I decided to do a little cable detail, but honestly the cables, they're looking a little bit sad. Maybe because I didn't do a purl stitch next to it. I'm not sure. But I do love where it's going. It's kind of slow also, because you're juggling quite a few colors. Because I'm using 2 contrasting colors and then the main color. The yarn that I'm using is Drops Charisma, which is a DK weight yarn, held together with Mayflower Elba in this color. And they match like really well, these colors. This is the same yarn that I used in the pressed flower shawl. So I have a little bit left over, and I might as well use it. Then the other yarn, I kept the labels just for the sake of being able to show you. But the first one, the pink one, I think, is from this brand. It's a brand from Denmark. The merino singles, superwash in the color Dried Rose, and this is how that looks. It's just a beautiful dusty pink color with beautiful speckles. And this is fingering weight, so I'm holding it double. And then I'm holding it together with this tynn silk mohair from Sandnes garn. And then the other color, I'm using a beautiful yellowy color with some like pink elements, I would say. And this is Life in the Long Grass, which is one of my favorite yarn brands. And it's the Life in Long Grass singles in the color Glow. And this, I believe, is also superwash merino, fingering weight. And then I'm holding that together with Dustor Alpaca Dreamline Siri, which is this brown color. And I also had it left over. So it's also nice that I'm getting through some of my leftovers with this. I have no idea how much yarn this vest is going to take. Right now, at this point, I'm almost finished with 1 ball of the main color. So I think that's actually quite far. And it's going to be kind of a cropped vest, and then again with big armholes, and then like double folded, like folded over ribbing probably. So I love where this design is going. I'll show you one more time, because it's so beautiful. At least I think it's very beautiful. And pink and yellow are like my favorite colors to combine. And this is how it looks on the inside. So sometimes the floats are quite long, so I do have to catch them. But honestly, I think the inside also looks beautiful. And I tried like moving my fingers up again against it, and I'm not really catching the floats with my fingers or anything. So I think I'm doing it right. Then my final work in... Oh my god. I just like snagged my tassel from my little knitting bag. That's sad. Maybe I can fix it. But my next work in progress is a balaclava. It is my own little pattern, like I'm kind of just winging it. And that's because I was really feeling like I wanted a balaclava with bubbles, and I couldn't really find a pattern. And I do think maybe it's a little bit baby-like, but it's just what I'm feeling right now. So I'm knitting this with a DK weight yarn held single on 3.5mm needles. And this is that same yarn that I knit the Grandmacore hood in. So now you can see the label, but it's from Panduro wool. And it's a pure merino, 50 grams. 50 grams is 120 meters. So maybe it's on the thin side for DK weight yarn. I'm not sure, but I like the fabric. I don't know if this is ever going to make it to be a full balaclava, but for now I'm just gonna knit on it. And it's like a nice like in-between project from the rest, because it's quite simple. It's just plain stockinette with some bubbles here and there. So that's why I started it. And I have 2 balls of this, so I hope I can knit the entire thing with just 2 balls. So now I'm gonna get into the acquisitions, because in my acquisitions there have also been some patterns that I really like want to knit. So the first acquisitions that I have are 2 booklets from Sandnes Garn. So this one is the number 2022, and then this one is the number 2311, volume 2. So this is their newest one, and they both have really nice patterns in there. So I will show you, I'm not gonna show you the entire booklet. I absolutely love this set. This is gonna be absolutely like a huge project to knit, because I believe they knit it on like 3mm needles, and then it's like some kind of rib. But how cute would it be to have like the skirt and the sweater? I believe they knit it in tynn pure gins, and I would probably knit it in drops flora or something like that. Then another pattern that I'm looking at is like their cable sweater. It's also very pretty. It's called the Barney sweater. And then I would also love to knit this little collar thing. And also this in a red color. Yeah, like I said, I've been really feeling red, and this just looks so festive, like for Christmas and stuff. And I love bubbles, and it has bubbles on there. So honestly, now that I'm looking at this one again, I kind of feel like in December maybe I should get some red yarn and then knit this to wear for Christmas. So that's the first booklet. Really happy that I got this one. And then the second one I got because I really want to knit the, what is it called? The Gia Zipper Ganser. And I already have the yarn for that. And I actually cast it on like a few days ago. Or like a week ago. But then I wasn't feeling the colors that I chose. So I frocked it. Then decided to order another yarn that I could hold with it. Like I will show you later. So I'm gonna like knit this soon. But it looks like this. And actually when you look on Ravelry, this one actually has a very feminine shape. Like for example the zipper sweater from Petite Knit is very straight and boxy. But then this sweater, the Gia sweater or Ganser, it's very much shaped like this. So it's really cinches in the waist. So I would love to knit this in the Drops Daisy. I've had this yarn since they released it basically in this beautiful light purple color. But I just really didn't know what to do with it. Sometimes you just have a color of yarn and it just doesn't immediately speak to like every pattern or something. But this pattern in this color makes sense to me. So at first I was holding it with the yarn that I just showed you. This one. But this is not really like a typical mohair type of yarn, so it's not really fluffy. So together, like if this was a mohair, I think it would create more of a blended fabric. But these two together, it was creating a very mauve fabric, and this was especially just looking a little bit grey. And I just wasn't in love with it. And this yarn is quite expensive, so I didn't want to knit like a very expensive sweater and then not be 100% in love with it. So I decided to just bite the bullet and get some matching mohair yarn. And I got this cone. This is from a Dutch website and they sell just like yarn on the cone, but especially their mohair is very affordable. So on this cone there is almost 2000 meters, actually 1900 meters. And then you pay only €8.50. So that's incredibly affordable, especially considering that usually 200 meters of mohair would probably be $8.50. So this is gonna be the entire sweater and then maybe like another accessory or something like that. And then I think the colors of this, like the colors, they just match a lot better. So I'm very happy that I decided to get the cone. The material, it's not like a typical mohair, so do keep that in mind. And if you are local or like live in the Netherlands, I will have it linked below because it's very nice. I do think it's soft, so. But it's 38% acrylic, 32% polyamide and then 30% kit mohair. So it's not your typical mohair silk, but it doesn't have to be, and it just, mohair usually is just to add like a little bit of durability and to add the halo. So you do for sure get that halo. I think silk would add a little bit more strength. But I mean, acrylic is also strong, so yeah, I'm not sure. But I got that. And then, because I'm really feeling the neon pink right now, I got this. It's absolutely, when I just pull it up in the camera, it's like, bam. It's very bright. But I absolutely love it. And for some reason I know already what I'm gonna knit with it. There's just a pattern that really speaks to me, but in like a fun color. So this. It's going to be the Clotilde sweater or the Clotilde cardigan by Knitting for Olive. For some reason I'm feeling the cardigan a little bit more, but then I'm also thinking a cardigan then in this color doesn't go with a lot of clothing that I have in my closet, whilst a sweater would then be easier to pair because you can wear it like over a dress or skirt or jeans, and a cardigan you always have something like here, you know? Unless, of course, it does have the closed neckline, so if you then button it up all the way, you could kind of also wear it as a sweater. I'm not sure, but I do love this yarn. Only $8.50 for the entire cone once again, and then for the pattern they hold, I believe, 2 strands of Knitting for Olive heavy merino held together with 2 strands of mohair. So a lot of people on Savory, they don't do the mohair double because of cost effectiveness. But for this price you definitely can if you just cake it up. And then to hold it with, I'm probably gonna get Drops Lima because they have a color like this. And it's affordable, once again. Yeah, sorry, I have a budget to keep in mind. And then this week new on my webshop, I'm gonna have like a tiny Christmas drop with this. How cute is this print? And I don't even care, like, you don't have to buy something from my webshop. I'm just showing you because I like it and because it's really nice to look at, even if you don't want to buy something. But this is the Amy project bag in the medium size. With, as you can see, what is it called? Like a wiener dog. How do you call this in English? Is it called a wiener dog? I'm not sure. But I really like it. And then I just did a regular white lining with some, like a red floral little pouch. And then this little gingham. And it's very cute and I'm very tempted to keep one for myself. Especially now because Christmas is up in the air and I already have my Christmas tree. Oh my god. I completely forgot that I wanted to film my video in front of the Christmas tree. Now, the last couple of yarn acquisitions. We're almost at the end, I promise. The first one I got is this new live wool. Looks like this. This is a worsted weight yarn and I'm planning to knit the loom sweater or loom pullover by Sari Nordlund. I've talked about this sweater in my knitting plans video, so I just got the yarn for it. This is going to be my main color, and then this is going to be all of the flowers and all of the contrasting color. This yarn is very interesting. It's very tweedy, which I really like because I thought that would give just a nice effect to the sweater. So here you can see this one has just like pink tweedy things, and then this is the brown one. But it's very interesting because it's 100% recycled. It's from Hjertegarn. It's Danish, so I don't know how to pronounce it. But it's 65% recycled wool and 35% recycled mixed fibers. This yarn is made from 100% old sweaters collected at recycling stations. No dyes or chemicals have been used, which I think is really cool. And it's 100 grams for 200 meters. And this was super affordable. So I was looking a little bit online and saw that in the UK, for example, this yarn was like £8 per hank. But in the Netherlands on this website, one was €5, which is less, like a lot less. And then they were actually on sale for €4, so it was very affordable. If it's still on sale, I will link it below. And if you want to get something, they have a lot of beautiful colors. So, dear God, that was everything that I wanted to show you in this video. I hope you enjoyed all of the projects and things that I've been working on. Even though I didn't really show a lot of projects that were you know, like patterns that I can actually link or share and like talk about really. Just gonna work on what I have right now, and then after that, yeah, I think I'm gonna knit a bunch of like sweaters from other people. So yeah, the loom pullover definitely, and the animal sweater, both Colorwork. So that's super exciting. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye!